So 50,000 points through Tempest Trials to get Quickened Pulse. Now the question is, how do we best make use of it after spending all this time on it? Well, this is Nimius, and I've been doing at least an hour of Tempest Trials since last weekend because I left it all to the last minute. This is actually going to be my final run before I actually get Quickened Pulse, and I've been thinking all this time about how to best get it. So I'm going to finish this run and I'm going to go through a bunch of heroes, and then we'll come up with an answer as to who should use Quickened Pulse. This is my team. Let's go. So when you take a look online and people are talking about Quickened Pulse, I see all sorts of ridiculous things. Like, people actually want to use it for Moonbow. Having an extra turn on Moonbow doesn't really make a big difference, and Moonbow itself is a very insignificant damage booster. If you consider it, Moonbow just adds, you know, let's say 9 damage. Let's be generous. Let's say 9 damage. It's a very small booster. Oh, and I reset a team so I can talk and do this without being all hectic and stuff. All right. So, if you think about using Moonbow with it, it's like you'll save 1 turn, right? But for characters that double, you can use Moonbow, you know, slightly sooner, and that might make a difference. That might, and that's a big might, because in general, Moonbow's damage difference is so little, and most units can kill without special. So, you know, from that we can infer it's best to use it on a special that is more significant. So what would be a more significant special? And Hector just did one. So something like Bonfire is a lot better. As a choice. Now the reason for Bonfire is pure damage. It boosts damage dealt by 50% of unit's defense, right? 50% of 37 works out to 16 and a half. No. 18 and a half, my bad. That's quite a bit. And that's pure damage. It doesn't matter what color you are, you take 18.5 on top of normal damage. Since that's the case, you know, why not go even further with that, is what I've been thinking. The rationale here is... let me just finish this. The rationale here would be... you give him the next level of Bonfire, which would become... what is it called? Ignis. He has Bonfire, and so you move it over to Ignis, and it's 80% of his defense. 80% of 37 is... I gotta get a calculator for that. Let's see. And 50k. You know, this is a lot of time to get Quickened Pulse. People are complaining about it being a grind. Alright, so it works out to 30 damage. And with 30 damage on Hector, you know, that's huge. He should be able to wipe out most units. But, alright, let's go through the units and we'll talk about this specifically. So let's start with Azura. My Azura has Moonbow. Why is Moonbow not a good idea? It's insignificant, and on Azura especially, since it's Sapphire Alliance, I'm not going to be engaging a lot of non-red or non-gray units, and she should be able to take just about everyone in that case. All reds and grays should die naturally into it. Moonbow is, as I said earlier, insignificant boost to damage. More like, if we're generous, just say 9, right? Yeah, or moving it 1 step earlier. And keep in mind, Quickened Pulse is only for the first turn. It drops Moonbow from 2 turns to 1 turn. In that case, you're not really doing yourself a big favor. You can sure use it in the same combat phase, but that small amount of damage is going to be used on the first unit you engage, basically. And if you don't engage the right unit, bam, it's gone. It's not as useful. Instead, for Azura, I use Spur Defense, because she has Hone Attack. That way I can buff twice, essentially. That's a better use of a seal slot than Quickened Pulse. right? Because she has to always be near a unit anyways to use Hone Attack. So we decided, you know, Hone Attack not the best choice. Sorry, Moonbow not the best choice. So let's head over to Owen. And I don't think Owen is a good choice either. She has a much better special on Iceberg. Iceberg 50% unit res, being 33, you know, 16.5. That's a good deal of damage, but Owen's probably not going to need it. Owen's going to, you know, double or quad most units anyways. And having +1 attack is more useful because attacking twice, +1/+1, she's making at least she's doubling the use of attack seal, right? So Iceberg, while good, probably not a good idea to give it on a unit that can double. Doubling units usually finish enemy characters in one turn anyways, so using it, you're probably not going to get the best use out of it. So now we know Moonbow, not a good idea, too small of a boost. Brave users, not a good idea because they usually finish things in one turn anyways. So let's go to something that really makes a difference then. If I actually used, where is she? Fair. If I actually used Fair, she'd be a decent choice. I don't actually have it equipped. So Fair is a much more decent choice. So we can look at Chilling Wind, alright? Chilling Wind and Glacies. Now, Iceberg is basically Chilling Wind minus one turn quicker, right? Now, if I took Glacies and I put it on Owen, and it becomes 3 turns, 80% of 33 resistance is, like, gotta get a calculator. That's 27. That's 26 damage. That's significant. And having pure damage is useful because, again, with Owen, for example, I could take down a green unit like Nino if I have the special on deck. Nino doesn't have a lot of HP, even though if she has, you know, resistance to it. And even with like weapons triangle, triangle adept, right? It's really going to be tough to save her if you have a really powerful special on deck. And we can tell because we know Iceberg is 3 turns, 50%, and Glacies is 4 turns, 80%. It makes better use because the more turns a special takes, the more efficient it is, right, in damage dealing. So it goes from 50 to 80, so there's a 30% difference just for one more turn. That's big. So maybe on a character like Fair, you know, who's only going to use her special once a map, essentially. That's a good idea. But, you know, Fair's not a really common unit and people don't usually use her. And then we have also other more interesting options like Lyn. If you can get, you know, this is like Fair except much more extreme. Like Night Sky to Astra, that one extra turn represents 100% more damage dealt. You know, these are she'll basically end any unit if she has Astra ready. And maybe we can even use it with more interesting options like Galeforce, getting that extra turn earlier. But, you know, no one uses Galeforce. No one can make it work very well. Thus far, anyways. So Lyn could be a possible interesting option. So now we got a bunch of different options, but they're all not very ideal, to be honest. Well, Fair's case is fairly ideal, but not as good as it possibly can. So what I think is you need to use it in conjunction with someone with a distant counter. That way you maximize the chances of the special being triggered and being able to using it sooner, because if you can attack from any distance, you can drop the counter sooner. And especially if it's a beefy unit like Xander. Now, I'm supposed to give Xander Bonfire. That's the plan. Thus far, I haven't gotten another Robin, so I can't give him Bonfire yet. But, you know, illustrating it with Rising Light instead, or Blazing Light. That's a special, offensive special. And going towards this, offensive specials might not be so good. If you can only trigger the special on your turn, you know, your unit might die before using the special. So maybe not a good idea to use these either. But a bulky, slower unit with a special might be better. Xander is very unlikely to attack more than once or twice in a match, and he's likely to get attacked because he has, in my case, quick riposte. He can attack back twice, right? So he can quickly have his special ready. And so as 3 turns, it goes like this. He gets attacked once, and then he folds up twice. Special is ready. If he gets doubled, he gets attacked twice. He gets attacked once, he attacks back. He gets attacked again, and then special is ready to be used, and he uses it, and he'll most likely just kill his opponent outright. So if that's the case, someone like Xander is a very good option, because in whatever case his special gets used, assuming his bulkiness allows him to survive. If he does, so again, if he does survive, getting attacked by once, and then so it works out to 3 turns. On his turn, he has, I'm gonna give him bonfire, so bonfire ready, and bonfire for Xander will work out to 20 extra damage. That's pretty big, considering he'll only attack once. But let's take that a step further. But before we do, I want to just take a look at 2 interesting options before I give you what I think is ideal. So one of the interesting things I saw was red coin. So Dragon Gaze and Dragon Fang having 50% more to your attack, that's pretty big too. That could be useful. 3 turns for 50% more attack. That might actually be ideal on a lot of high attack characters. But you know, too high of attack, this becomes worthless because, like the Brave users, if you're just gonna kill the other unit outright without needing the special is gonna get wasted, and then you're back to you because Quickened Pulse only works for the first turn. You're just wasting a seal slot. So maybe not the best, but interesting options for characters with lower attack. Maybe Dragon Gaze and Dragon Fang, well, particularly Dragon Fang. All right, and there are other interesting options like Soul. Who has a Crom? Soul being 50% damage dealt. So healing your unit with 3 turns might be useful, but the meta as is all about killing your opponent as soon as possible. So again, maybe not completely ideal. Alright, and the last 2 things is Miracle. Miracle, I don't have a character with it, but Miracle, if your character gets defeated within, say, 5 turns, it takes 5 turns to get the special to activate, and if your character dies, they'll come back 1 HP. Miracle might be useful because taking 5 to 4 is a lot more reasonable, 5 turns to 4. But again, I don't have anyone with that, and that's just theory because and really iffy theory because I'm not so sure about it myself. And then final thing is like, you know, Swift Wind's Bomb. If you have a character with Fury and they take any amount of damage and then you heal them and every character gets +4 speed, that could be a big difference maker. But we don't know for sure. If you use Swift Wind's Bomb, presuming you don't use actually. Alright, if you don't use Rehabilitate, so cooldown +1, and you just use Swift Wind's Bomb, having that activated right away, that can be a difference maker. That +4 speed can be the difference between attacking one more time and, you know, winning or losing. Alright, so I'll go to what I think is the ideal, very ideal way to use Quickened Pulse, and we're going back to Hector. Alright, so the best way for a Quickened Pulse to be used is a character that doesn't attack very often. Hector's, it's not going to double very many characters, so that's checked off. A character with distant counter, or counter at any distance, you know, Hector has that covered with distant counter. This is so he can drop the usage sooner, and so he can make sure he uses it in combat. And then finally, Vantage. Vantage is what really caps it off, because this way you ensure it gets used. Now, with Bonfire, taking it to 2 turns? Well, taking it to 2 turns basically means he either uses it the turn he gets attacked, or he uses it the turn afterwards. Guaranteed, because no matter what, Vantage gets activated. So that might be the best way to use it, actually. Or you can give him Ignis, which is 80% boost, and that might be even better, but that's less consistent. So, what I think is, if you want to make the best use of Quickened Pulse, use it with a character that that's not going to use the special more than once a match, has distant counter, has Vantage. And in this case, for me, it looks like it's Hector. Yeah, that was a lot of talk to get to this point, huh? Anyways, I apologize for that. I haven't been making a lot of content because I ran out of ideas. But this was the last one I can do, and as you can see, 3 hours left. I really left this to the last moment. Anyways, well, I'll go back to Hector one more time, and then I'll cut it off. So this took longer than I wanted it to. I talked about too many things. I hope you guys skip to this point so you don't get annoyed at me. Alright, anyways, this was Nimius, and I'll write down what these things in the comments. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time, and have a great day. Bye bye.